Good afternoon. I am Matt Stavish, and welcome to another session of the RCA Industry IQ. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Isaac Ellsworth. This afternoon, we have the pleasure of being joined by Brian Klickener and Jessica Dubois of Risk Strategies, a benefit provider and both based in the DC area. Jessica and Brian, tell us why we need to get smart on your industry IQ.
Hey, thanks, Matt and Isaac, and thanks for having us today. We really appreciate it. So we're with Risk Strategies. We are insurance brokers. Risk Strategies is the second largest. We've grown into the second largest insurance brokerage in the DMV. I've been in the business for 20 years, both as a govcon and as an insurance advisor advising govcons. So I have a good read on and pulse of the marketplace.
Thank you for having us. So my name is Jessica Dubois. I'm a benefits advisor here at Risk Strategies with Brian, and I've been in the industry for 9 years. And Brian and I are here to ensure that your company is compliant, that you're attracting the best talent, and that you're effectively managing the costs of your company.
Awesome. Well, it's thanks to have great to have both of you guys, and being the second largest benefits provider in the area. That's great. You guys have a national presence. When you guys joined RSC a few years ago and you have the national presence, what are the resources that companies need to know that you can bring to bear to help them out, especially during these, challenging economic times with higher inflation and, labor rates, especially going up, are really squeezing companies' margins?
That's a great question. Yeah, as a national firm with over 30 areas of specialization and over 100 locations, we're able to tailor our services to match the needs of really any type of employer located anywhere. Now, within employee benefits, Brian and I, of course, advise companies on healthcare, life, disability, but we also have national resources that include an actuarial team, technology specialists, HR compliance consultants, and of course, a high-touch service team. Now, many times when we're advising companies on employee benefits, we're also bringing in other national resources within our company. This could be like our merger and acquisition team to help with a new acquisition, or if someone wants to be acquired. This could also be our cyber and property and casualty team to help a company meet the needs of new compliance requirements. We're here to make sure that the resources that we're bringing to the table match the evolving needs and goals of the government contractors that we work with.
Man, no, that's great. I really appreciate that response, Jessica. And on the topic of resources, like, how does being an industry expert, particularly in the GovCon space, help you provide the elite service that you need to provide for these customers in the GovCon space?
Yeah, so winning business as a GovCon space, and that it's really difficult. It's hard work, right? Whether it's NDAs, TAs, black hats, the pink teams, red teams, CPARs, LCATs, workshare, just fiscal year end that we're in right now, it's extremely challenging, and there's a lot of things that executives have to juggle. I have almost 20 combined years between working for a GovCon and then on each side of that being an industry insurance advisor servicing GovCon clients. For me, I think the most obvious area is understanding how little time most senior executives in these GovCons spend on their insurance and benefits. I know it startled me when I made my initial transition into that industry. For like a GovCon that says, say you have like 100 employees or so, it really gets boiled down to a number that will impact their fringe, and then their gut feeling of what's the disruption to my staff if I make a change. Once that math is complete, they move on if they're not really presented with more information or more alternatives. It's kind of seen as an ever-increasing cost center in their space and something that really can't be tamed easily. It's unfortunate for me. It's really a failure in my industry as a whole. I don't know if I would take it on my own shoulders, but as a whole, in properly engaging with and educating clients. It's important to appreciate things and understand what a GovCon executive is focused on aside. Our approach is servicing, quite similar across industries. We like to work with clients that are open to regular engagement with our team. We handle kind of tactical day-to-day needs with like any client while planning and then executing kind of a multi-year strategy. So we're having conversations with our clients throughout the course of the year. We make a plan, we work on that plan evolves as we grow into the future with them. So really we want to have an engaged client. That some of that is, understanding when are the times that they're most easily able to engage with us. Most GovCons, it's their benefits is their second largest spend next to payroll. Health insurance makes up the lion's share of that expense. It's often kind of funded with a blank check that they pay because like I said, they don't know how to tame that. It increases every year, just enough to prevent companies from making dramatic changes. So it's for that matter, employee benefits, we see this as like the area where people and P&L meet. It's largely an area that's optimized by businesses because they don't know how to do it, because they haven't really been working with consultants. So we want to kind of be their benefits expert. We kind of take that off their shoulders and advise both the CEO and the COO on kind of best strategies moving forward.
Just to add on to what Brian said is, like, we speak the language of government contracting, whether it's the need to be competitive on proposals, the need to forecast risk over the length of a contract, or the need to attract and retain top talent in the contract that they're going after. I would say our relationship with the government contractor goes way beyond advising. Like, we're here to help them get more contracts, get the best talent out there, and to increase their revenue as an organization.
And that's a great segue to our last question. You know, what everyone wants to hear in GovCon, because it's such a small community, is what's happening in the room that we're all not in, right? The M&A environment, what's happening in the conference room that we're not in. So when you're meeting with your clients and you're planning for 2023 and you're hearing this, hey, labor rates are going up, not down. We're paying more for everything else than we did last year. Everyone wants the Cadillac benefit plan. The government may increase our funding on a contract and they may not increase our funding on the contract. So what are those conversations that you're having, and what is the best strategy that you're using with your clients to help design the best plans for them next year?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So it really starts with understanding the client and understanding their business. I don't know that there's not one thing, right? It's an aggregation of both maximal and marginal gains. There isn't like one silver bullet. But it's really important to understand like what a client is trying to accomplish with their benefits plan, as well as what they're looking out into the next several years. Oftentimes, unless the client has a senior HR leader within the company, so kind of asking that question, it's kind of foreign to them. They really kind of approach benefits when they got into the business. A lot of these smaller companies are like, well, hey, what's SAIC doing? What's CSRA doing? Or what's X competitor doing in this space? And let's just match that. And that's the strategy, is being equivalent or being equal to or slightly in excess of what they've seen. They haven't built a reason why they're doing necessarily what they're doing. We have lots of ideas, but it really starts with listening and understanding what the client, where they are and kind of where they're trying to go. We find companies are often led down kind of a tactical annual to-do list that peaks like right around their renewal cycle. And then all the air gets sucked out of that balloon right when it's done. And there's really not an appetite for insurance agents to kind of stay connected beyond that, because if they don't have anything to offer, they don't want to continue to engage. I think that's a differentiation. It's an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity for our industry to really stay engaged with our clients. Kind of a common scenario that we run into. This is just kind of an example, right? So companies have PTO policies, and a lot of companies they offer short-term disability, especially in the GovCon space. Oftentimes we'll find that the conversation between what their PTO policy is and what their short-term disability policy actually covers and how it covers is never really talked about. They're really part of a leave management strategy, but they're not connected to each other. And oftentimes an employee given the opportunity to go on short-term disability or PTO will opt for PTO because they get 100% of pay versus 60% and having a problem with payroll contributions in so many pieces. So it's in their interest to stay on PTO, but oftentimes they'll have a really rich disability policy that isn't aligned with that. So they're spending more money on a benefit that really isn't providing value to the employees. They're not having that conversation. That's just one small benefit. The same thing, you can find similar types of things inside of long-term disability policies, inside of dental policies, inside of healthcare. All of those things take long-term regular conversations, building a plan and a strategy that reaches out into the future and then is able to be evolved with the client through having conversations with them routinely. So I think really what they need to be, we think clients need to be looking for consultants. They need to be looking not at buying a product off the shelf that suits the insurance company's needs, but really figuring out what are we trying to do for our employees? How can we engage our employees effectively? And then how can we actually build a program that's for their benefit? I mean, the two big areas kind of to go back that are looking at enhancements as well, mental health and leave management. I chatted a little bit about leave management, but I didn't talk about all the complexities out at the state and local jurisdictional level. So that's an area that can be seen as a differentiator. Both of those are growing concerns over the past several years due to COVID as one, and then two, there's just more regulatory involvement on the leave management side. So really looking at a consultant versus somebody that's kind of selling you a product is where we try to fit into that former, not the latter.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. Well, it was wonderful to have both Brian Klickner and Jessica Dubois from Risk Strategies to be on the RCA Industry IQ. I am Matt Stavish, joined with my colleague Isaac Ellsworth, and that's another session in the books.